You had you win Golden Gloves in 3 different weight classes. You were a champion. You go to the Olympics. Talk us through that, because I remember watching that.
Yes.
And how you got as an amateur. All of those fights you lost by 1 point.
Yes.
So losing those fights. So tell me what's going through your mind after a loss. Tell me how do you get over it and say, oh man, I should.
What happens when the undefeated king of cash finds himself cornered not by a boxer, but by his own daughter and a relentless sports analyst? And how does a man who made nearly $1 billion end up looking like he borrowed lunch money from a gas station clerk? The legendary Floyd Mayweather has spent decades dodging punches in the ring, but now he's dodging questions, and the ones throwing haymakers are closer to home than ever before. Yaya Mayweather and Shannon Sharpe have teamed up, whether intentionally or not, to pull back the velvet curtain on Floyd's crumbling empire.
As a professional, not to feel that same pain again.
So you believe losing that fight was the greatest thing that ever happened to Floyd Mayweather Jr.?
That was
when Floyd speaks, he speaks with the confidence of a man who once believed he could outdance the IRS. His personal life, he claims, is nobody's business. But when your business starts looking like a dollar store clearance rack, the public starts paying attention. Shannon Sharpe didn't pull any punches when he took the mic. He blasted Floyd's money habits wide open, comparing him to legends like Joe Louis and Sugar Ray Robinson, who both fell from financial grace. But Floyd isn't just repeating history. He's doing it with Wi-Fi, Instagram filters, and bad jewelry choices. Mayweather once paraded bricks of cash like a trophy hunter showing off a moose head. Now the trophies are starting to look suspiciously light, and even his daughter noticed. Yaya didn't throw a direct punch, but her Instagram was a jab in disguise. She reminded everyone that Floyd's empire was built not on an empire of assets, but on bets, the kind that only paid off if the dice kept rolling. And lately, the dice look rigged against him. When Shannon lit the match, the smoke didn't stay on the set of Undisputed. It wafted through social media, filling timelines with memes, debates, and side-eyes. Mayweather's tax drama, collapsing gyms, and whispers of unpaid debts turned into a Category 5 PR disaster. Every new headline was a left hook: IRS troubles, uppercut, gym staff unpaid, body shot, selling assets to cover old bills. That's the knockout punch looming in the air. Yaya's Instagram wasn't just nostalgic. It was an expose dressed as a humble brag. She told the world Floyd bought himself out for $750,000 and made $750 million. But behind the flashy numbers was a quieter truth. Floyd didn't build a fortress. He built a sandcastle during low tide. For every fight he won, he was gambling, not just on opponents, but on life itself. Floyd bet he could fight forever, flex forever, and spend forever. Spoiler alert, forever is short when you're burning cash like confetti. Inside the glittering vaults of his self-made legend, Floyd hid an uncomfortable truth. He was the machine, and machines need constant fuel. Fighting was the fuel. Flexing was the fuel. Reckless gambling on college games was the fuel.
One of the best things that happened to me. One of the best things.
One of them.
Yes. And that same guy is,
and when the machine slows down, so does the magic trick. Even Shannon Sharpe's face practically screamed, "Come on, man," when he broke down Floyd's logic. You're flashing millions online while stiffing the IRS? That's like throwing a yacht party during foreclosure. Legal documents confirmed what everyone suspected. Floyd has assets, sure, but they're about as liquid as peanut butter. His lawyers promise a significant liquidity event is on the way. Which sounds suspiciously like the rich version of "Bro, I swear I'll pay you back Friday." While Floyd's legal team scurried to explain how being asset-rich but cash-poor was totally normal, Yaya was busy airing the family's dirty laundry with a smile. The girl who grew up watching her dad dance past every challenge was now part of the growing choir wondering, where did all that money go? Floyd's story isn't about getting rich, it's about staying rich. And he's been losing that fight faster than a McGregor right hook. Behind the scenes, Leonard Ellerby, Floyd's right-hand man for years, allegedly leaked financial documents suggesting Floyd's debts are as stacked as his Instagram money piles used to be.
And I'm forever grateful and thankful, blessed. Yeah, blessed. Yeah, that's blessed. I love to hear that shit.
The image was perfect once. The Bugattis, the strip clubs, the real estate empire. But under the hood, the paint was peeling, the tires were bald, and the engine was coughing. The empire Floyd showed off wasn't built to last. It was built to impress. Vegas loved him when he was throwing chips. Car dealerships loved him when he bought fleets. Strippers loved him when he made it rain. But banks, creditors, the IRS, they have different love languages. And as the lawsuits started stacking like bad poker hands, Floyd started hustling even harder, not for legacy, not for love of the sport, but because the machine needed gas, and gas isn't free. Sharpe pointed out the biggest sin. Not just losing money, but doing it publicly while pretending nothing's wrong. It's like standing in a hurricane with an umbrella and calling it a breeze. Meanwhile, Yaya's Instagram flex morphed into a cautionary tale. Her "My dad made $750 million" story sounded less like pride and more like an obituary for an era that's fading fast.
Has no substance. What kind of example is he setting for the youth, for the kids? And then Conor McGregor is doing the exact similar antics, and he's being put on a pedestal. He's being praised for doing the exact same thing. You don't think there's no race issue in between that or why that is?
Well, we're in 2017, and we all know what it is.
Okay.
As Floyd scrambled to salvage his myth, Shannon Sharpe was stacking receipts like a man preparing for a tax audit. The IRS wasn't the only one watching. The world was watching. And Floyd? He was busy chasing exhibitions in Tokyo and Dubai, trying to catch lightning in a bottle one last time, fighting YouTubers, fighting reality stars, fighting to stay relevant. But every exhibition match was a confession in disguise. The legend who once fought for belts was now fighting for invoices. It gets even juicier when you remember that Floyd's biggest nemesis isn't Pacquiao, Canelo, or McGregor. It's 50 Cent. The petty wars between them have produced more memes than Mayweather's career produced belts. And 50 Cent isn't letting go. Every time Floyd claims to own half of New York City, 50 Cent pops up like an unwanted notification, calling cap with glee. Floyd bragged about owning 100 buildings in New York. 50 Cent laughed so hard, you could practically hear the sound through Instagram stories.
I don't know why he didn't become a boxing trainer. Because at that particular time when we fought, he was already old, a lot older than I was. Because, I was fighting at the elite stage But
the jokes hit harder because they had a sting of truth. Public records showed no such empire. What Floyd owns might fit in a shoebox, not the skyline. In truth, Floyd's wealth wasn't designed to endure recessions, audits, or economic downturns. It was designed to survive Vegas weekends and Instagram flex-offs. When money pours in faster than you can count, it feels endless. When it trickles out, it's death by 1,000 splurges. The lawsuits over unpaid jewelry, the bounced checks, the real estate investments that never matured. It paints the portrait of a man who thought wealth was a sprint, not a marathon. Now, each desperate exhibition match is Floyd begging the world not to forget him, not just as a boxer, but as an idea. And the idea is dying. Fast. The saddest part? Floyd's not just fighting creditors. He's fighting the memory of who he used to be. He's fighting the realization that money bought fame, fame bought opportunity, but neither bought respect in the end. Even in the ring, Floyd's style was built around defense. Avoid the punches, avoid the damage. But in life, you can't dodge forever.
Mayweather, without question. Number one, he's more hated than Conor McGregor. Number two, he's unblemished. Conor McGregor, we've already seen him lose to Nate Diaz, okay? So we saw that. There's no novelty in that. Number three, and more importantly, you got to remember something here. And it's amazing how people react. I don't sit up there and bring up race always as a negative. Sometimes, most times, I'm just highlighting.
The IRS is undefeated. Debt collectors are undefeated. Reality is undefeated. And Floyd? He's been knocked down. Maybe not in the ring, but where it counts. In the bank accounts, in the court filings, in the silent, sad nods from fans who once screamed his name. Even Shannon Sharpe, never one to pull punches, showed more disappointment than anger. It's one thing to go broke. It's another to go broke pretending you're still rich. Yaya's subtle shade made it clear. The Mayweather mythos was a pyramid of bets stacked atop one another. Remove the bets and it all comes crashing down. And it is crashing down, loudly, publicly, tragically. The undefeated king of boxing is now losing to math. He's losing to lifestyle creep. He's losing to his own ego. And every day he denies it, the losses pile up faster. The exhibitions won't save him. The Instagram flexes won't save him. Not even Yaya can save him. The people Floyd owes aren't looking for glitz, they're looking for checks. And when the music stops, when the lights dim, and the Instagram filters fade, the only thing left will be a man who gambled everything. And finally lost. Shannon Sharpe and Yaya didn't need to knock him out. Floyd knocked himself out. All they did was show us the slow motion replay. Floyd Mayweather isn't just broke, he's broken.
140, so I fought Derry Jean, and they said, you know, that was the marketing tool. Crawford beat Derry Jean, he's gonna, you know, potentially fight Manny Pacquiao. Derry Jean was one of Pacquiao's sparring partners. I stopped Derry Jean. That's like,
Broken under the weight of a life spent dodging responsibilities, the way he once dodged punches. A sad, ironic ending for a man who once called himself money. A cautionary tale dressed in Gucci and fake smiles. Even with the mounting evidence, Floyd Mayweather refuses to blink. The bravado is dialed up to 100, and the show continues, even when the curtains are falling apart. He stands like a man on a sinking ship, still throwing parties on the deck. People around Floyd see the writing on the wall, but he scribbles over it with dollar signs and rented luxury. They say denial is a powerful drug, and Floyd is overdosing without even noticing. Meanwhile, Shannon Sharpe is turning up the heat, stirring the pot on national television. Every jab he throws isn't just sports commentary, it's an autopsy report on Floyd's crumbling empire.
It's a learning program, preparing you for the professional ranks. If that's something you choose to do. Am I really worried about? Am I happy with my amateur career?
There's something almost tragic about watching a man so obsessed with appearing rich, he forgets what actual wealth looks like. It's less about investments and more about Instagram flexes. Every blurry selfie with cash stacks taped to his hands is another nail hammered into the coffin of credibility. It's like watching a magician pull endless rabbits out of a hat, only to realize the hat has a giant hole in it, and the rabbits are stuffed animals from a dollar store. Even Yaya Mayweather, who once basked in the glow of her father's legacy, now seems to be waving the red flag, even if she's doing it with glitter and hashtags. Her Instagram stories come off not as proud daughter moments, but as coded cries for financial reality checks. She's seen the palace from the inside. She smelled the smoke behind the mirrors. And now, she's not afraid to hint at it. Meanwhile, Shannon is out here hosting a roast disguised as sports analysis, and the audience loves every minute.
No more. See, you know, and the promoters, it's the same way. When you lose, the promoters don't want nothing to deal with you.
You know what? That's where I was going. Because it seemed, if you remember, if you go back and look at the 70s, there were heavyweights dominated, they fought. Yeah. Ali fought Frazier, and Norton fought this one, and Foreman fought that one, and Shavers, and so forth and so on. And then you had the 80s, and you had the Four Kings, and they fought. Why they don't want to fight? I mean, it's money.
When you've lived your life shouting money team at every camera, it's hard to walk back into the room quietly when the cash has vanished like smoke in the breeze. Yet Floyd tries. He books exhibitions against YouTubers and kickboxers, hoping nobody notices that he's playing whack-a-mole with debt collectors behind the scenes. Each time he steps into the ring now, it's not about the glory. It's about patching another hole in the rapidly deflating luxury yacht he calls his life. The bigger issue isn't just that Floyd may be broke, it's that he doesn't seem to know how to not spend like a billionaire. The man's spending habits were built for a fantasy life, not one restrained by pesky things like budgets, interest rates, and bankruptcy laws. Buying 17 Bugattis sounds cool until you realize they depreciate faster than ice cream melts on a hot sidewalk. Building strip clubs and opening vanity gyms might impress groupies, but they don't magically print money when the IRS comes knocking.
Speak freely. What's your take on all of this?
Well, my first take about it is that Floyd knows better than that. He knows that I say what I mean and I mean what I say. And if anybody's backtracking, some would say that he's backtracked. even if I did backtrack, which I don't believe.
Even worse, Floyd's network of supposed businesses seems to operate like a house of cards in a wind tunnel. You can almost hear Shannon Sharpe chuckling backstage every time Floyd announces a new investment opportunity involving custom diamond-encrusted socks or luxury bowling alleys. It's a sad spectacle, like watching a former king sell counterfeit gold coins at the marketplace just to pay for lunch. And every time Floyd posts another boastful photo online, it's like tossing gasoline onto the fire of speculation. The trolls sharpen their claws. The media circles like vultures. Even his former friends can't help but snicker. Every flex now is a desperate prayer that someone, somewhere, still believes the fantasy. But the mask is slipping, and it's slipping fast. Even the fans, once loyal and blinded by the glitter, are starting to squint through the smoke. They see the desperation behind the flashy watches and endless cash-counting videos.
Of the money issue, you know, that was their cash cow, and you know.
But hell, you could have been their cash cow.
Listen, they don't think like that, you know. So they didn't want to mess up the money that they was getting from Pacquiao at the time.
They recognize the panic behind the forced smiles during interviews. They feel the tremors beneath the carefully constructed stage. And nothing, not a single rented yacht or a blurry Instagram live from a penthouse balcony, can hide the truth anymore. Floyd Mayweather is caught in a spiral, punching at shadows and hoping they don't punch back harder. The irony of it all is delicious. A man who made billions selling the image of invincibility is now fighting invisibility. He's like a ghost haunting his own legend, replaying old highlights to an audience that has already moved on. Shannon Sharpe saw it coming a mile away, and Yaya Mayweather, whether she meant to or not, confirmed the diagnosis. The collapse isn't sudden, it's slow, it's painful, it's public. And Floyd seems determined to go down swinging, even if the only person left in the ring is himself.
They was my promoters.
Okay.
I would go to the office. I would go to the board. Bruce Tramplett, a guy named Bruce Tramplett was the matchmaker. I would go in there, say I want to fight this day. They said, Floyd, you know, you're one of our top fighters, and we know you demand, a heavy payday. I said, listen, pay me what you think I deserve. Pay me something solid. I just want to stay active because I know where I'm trying to get to, as far as with my career.
Right.
They would keep me active. I think it was.
Meanwhile, the industry watches, amused and horrified, as he stumbles from one desperate move to another. Every exhibition fight announcement is met with less excitement and more concern. Every public appearance draws more whispers than cheers. Even the tax collectors are getting tired of sending notices, wondering if Floyd's next check will bounce like one of his flashy diamond-studded basketballs. The saddest part? Floyd probably believes he can gamble his way out of it. One more fight, one more payout, one more big score. He's been living on borrowed time for so long, he thinks the clock will never strike midnight. But Cinderella's carriage has turned back into a pumpkin, and Floyd Mayweather is left sitting in the wreckage, still counting imaginary millions. Yaya's subtle jabs were a warning, a flare shot into the night sky. Shannon Sharpe's commentary was the thunderclap that followed. And the audience? They're just waiting for the inevitable. There's no villain here, no grand conspiracy. Just a man who refused to change when the world around him did. The fights got fewer, the paydays got smaller, the expenses stayed astronomical, and now the math doesn't add up no matter how many Bentleys he parks in the driveway.
Fight Manny Pacquiao. I think you were like 27, 28 when you won the fight, Pac. Why didn't that fight happen?
I don't, man, I hear so many excuses like they didn't want it, but Freddie Roach on the record saying he didn't want Pacquiao to fight for one. And
at this point, the only thing Floyd is fighting is reality itself. But reality is undefeated. Reality has no weight class. Reality doesn't need judges to score a victory. And right now, it's Reality 10, Floyd Mayweather 0. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to hit that subscribe button, like the video, and drop a comment below. Let's keep the energy going.